pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, can we have a roll call of members, please?
Mr. Chapman? Here. Ms. Gracious? Here. Mr. Ziegler?
Here.
Ms. Thompson? Here. Ms. Terry Navarre? Here. Ms. Miller? Here.
Fantastic. First, we will need an approval of minutes from May 8th, 2025 and May 22nd, 2025.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for May 22nd.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Dave. All in favor signify aye. Aye. Opposed signify nay. Okay, motion carries. We'll move into staff reports and the fire chief.
Good evening. There's not really much to report. The Hudson River run, Western Express, hydrogen testing is complete. We have a few areas that are lower pressure. Some hydrants, so we're working with the water department to see what's going on, anything. The lines being over. Not as much water. So we have a few on the very last page, I kind of forgot some equipment and personnel needs. Some of these are near future, some of these are later on. Ladder truck, it's 1.7 million. It takes 3 to 5 years to manufacture. Current ladder truck is 27 years old. It is in good shape. They can look at care of it. Also, they can go and head shop. Whether it's a ladder, test bed, or something, we're going to field and emergency purpose. Air packs have got to be released no later than March 27th. 15 years old, so they'll be 15 years old at any time. That's a $225,000 purchase. We've got part-time EMTs, they do a great job with the schedule getting covered. There's times I put out shifts at the beginning of the month, and there's 20 of those are 14 years old. And they try to work. Depending on part-time people, it's kind of tough sometimes. We do have a great staff, but sometimes they have obligations. They have a full-time job, they get overtime. UTV with this river walk procedure to come in, if we have medical emergencies there, it's going to be a lot of manpower to try to carry somebody out that's having a heart attack or having any kind of medical emergency. So those are things that we got to look at in the future, try to be more thinking on some of this stuff down the road. Some of you are new to council, so in 2002, we passed the alcohol tax. That has not been raised since then. It has to be really get on the ballot and be voted on to raise. So, and that just started, that was an add to start part-time people running for out 6 days, 6 weeks. And here we are today, providing ALS service, trying to get 2 squads out. Yesterday we got 4 squads out, 1 squad running at the same time. We're depending a lot on interns and everything. That grant will run out. Those people, unfortunately, they get their training, they have no positions for them, and they end up leaving into one of the places or the time they spend here gets limited to very often want to leave less than that once every couple of weeks. So, and they get married or have kids, it drops up altogether. So, seems like their lives are trying to volunteer. Just some things to think about. I'm sure there's also on this list, because they're kind of the quote back yet, but our monitors, we bought one like 6 or 7 years ago, and that was $25,000. Today is $60,000. The prices are going up from along the way, using this stuff. More than that. That's all I have. Any questions?
Okay. Thank you, Chief. We'll move into the Public Works Director's report.
Thanks, sir. I just want to let you guys know that Mike Dunaway's back off his shoulder surgery. He's doing really well. He's on light duty right now. He's been running the zero-turn mower and still doing some slight help. He's been doing some oil changes for police department. Todd Grubbs has been a great addition to the Public Works team. He's helped a lot out all the aspects of Public Works, mulching, mowing, trash, filling potholes. He is, and Public Works is hopeful to have him full-time when budgeting, makes sense. I've been talking with Andy Yeager over KYTC about the road depressions at the 400 block of Elm Street. We determined it was mostly from the water department doing valve replacements. They've contacted them, but they haven't reached back out to me on any updates yet. The Memorial Concession Building had its final coat of paint by South Bank. This also includes the shelters that were also painted blue. This is a great improvement over the green that was there. It's faded. We priced those shelter roofs to be replaced in 2022 because they are still got some holes and stuff in it, but from the road they look 10 times better. For replacement on those, they were going to be like $18,000. So the new paint for free was a great deal. And South Bank still plans on to repaint the basketball courts, like the stripes, the defensive boxes. And Will Weber just told me that he's even willing to buy new rims for the basketball courts too. So those will all be new by the end of the month. One other thing you guys may have noticed, we repaved Rivers Breeze section from Highway to Hazen Street. Had a bunch of base failures that needed to be repaired, and it has been milled and paved. Other than that on there, is there anything else on the report you guys have questions about?
No question from me. I just wanted to compliment you guys on the park. It looked beautiful for the Memorial Day Festival. Thank you.
Thank you.
I saw that you have estimates for the
Oh,
speed humps.
all right. Yeah, I was, the estimates on the speed humps we were looking at are anywhere from just blacktop is $3,000 and $5,500 per speed hump for concrete. With the blacktop, Public Works may be able to save some money on it if we just did it ourselves. I'm estimating maybe $2,000 to do it. It all depends on how many and where you guys want them, really. I mean, it's all up to you guys and the council of where you guys want them and stuff, but that's kind of where we're at right now.
Do we know what the longevity would be for either blacktop or concrete? Which one would you prefer?
The blacktop would be kind of like how roads are, 10 to 15 years. Concrete could be 50.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll move into the code enforcement officer's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. Busy time of year, of course. Currently today, I believe there's roughly 138 open cases, so we're busy out there. I wanted to point out to you, as you'll see on your monitors there, on your screens, 102 Audrey, huge improvement on their sidewalk there. They had all their sidewalks removed and replaced, including the driveway and their walkway into the house. So that was roughly 127 lineal feet plus the driveway. So huge improvement, including the ADA warning map there that Shane and his team put in at the corner there of Audrey and Montclair. So huge improvement. Just goes to show this can be done. And while we're on the subject, I just want to briefly touch on the fact that I've looked at some other cities here over the last few weeks, and Park Hills, Covington, Fort Mitchell, Edgewood. We've just done a little survey, if you want to call it that. Guys, I don't want to compare us to anybody else, but we're no different than those cities as far as sidewalk, as far as the condition of our sidewalks. I mean, everybody's got some things going on out there. Everybody's got some room for improvement. We're kind of moving the needle, and as I've said in the past, this is going to be a work in progress. So this is going to be several years until we're where we want to be. And guess what happens then? Then we kind of start over. So we're moving the needle on sidewalks. 38 Euclid, you'll see there as well. I think everybody possibly received a letter from the owner of 38 Euclid. I've spoken to this gentleman several times. Just want to shed a little bit of light on that, minimize any questions. As you can see from the photos, there's obviously some chipping paint there, as you can see on the front, which is very visible on the brick. The front porch, the support columns, the fascia there above the porch, the detached garage. As you can see, there's a lot of chipping and peeling paint. So just to cut to the chase, I've been in contact with this gentleman for over 20 months now. I opened this case October of 2023. I've mailed 5 notice of violations. This includes conversations on the phone. 2 final notice of violations. And I finally sent a citation in May for $100. So a little bit more than lenient. So as to the reasoning behind the letter, I think that would be because of the $100 citation that was mailed. So any questions, let me know, but it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, here's what I'll ask, and this is what I've asked the gentleman. We have roughly 2,200 properties in the city. If everybody's property looked like this, if your next door neighbor's property looked like this, I think you'd have a problem with that. So believe it or not, I've had no complaints. Okay? Any questions for me on that? Or anything? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jamie. Next, we'll move into the police chief's report.
I submitted my report. I'll recap it briefly. We had 676 calls, and amazingly enough, our report and the county's report actually matched up this month. So I have no idea why it did, but it did. Out of those, 487 of the calls were community-oriented, vacation checks, things like that. Sergeant Dorman completed APS. And we started a new training program with Livingstone Security Solutions out in southern end of the county to do monthly training with our patrol guys. It'll be mostly scenario-based training, so that's kind of a big thing right now for liability. They have role players involved and stuff like that. He's a retired Fort Thomas police officer. So we're getting a pretty good deal with that. That's about, school's obviously out, so we didn't have a school resource officer report. And that's all I got. If you have anything, I'll try and answer it.
Thank you, Chief. Next, we'll move into the mayor's report. So on Tuesday, I met with Kenton County Judge Executive Chris Knockelman. One of the things that came up in our discussion is that Kenton County has a redevelopment fund. We talked a little bit about how we can tap into that, and then Scott and I have already started having some conversations about how we might be able to utilize some of that money. Judge Knockelman will be visiting soon to provide an update. I do have a meeting on Monday with Dr. Stefan. I think I alluded to in one of our previous meetings. I've met a little bit with Educate NKY, which is a subsidiary of the One NKY group. One of the things that they're really interested in is how can cities be more involved with early childhood education. My messaging to them from the start has been, obviously that's something I'm very passionate about because of my full-time gig, but B, anything that we're going to do in lockstep with the school district. So I'm going to meet with Dr. Stefan next week and talk about what our city's potential role in that could be. I want to give a major bravo to everyone involved in the Memorial Day Parade. Don't want to go into a big list of folks because inevitably I'll leave people out. I will say from an organizational standpoint, Paula and Julie, I know you both had a huge role in that. There was a heavy police presence, fire presence. The park was looking amazing. Really was a great day for the city and is a great way to honor our veterans and honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice. Also want to give another bravo to those who attended or donated to Hot Dogs in the Park, and want to give a bravo to Dave for all of his efforts on that. Finally, I want to give a thank you to South Bank Partners for a couple different things. So obviously, Shane alluded to earlier, they have been instrumental in getting some things painted and looking nicer down at the park, all at no cost to the city, which is really exciting. And then for arranging a meeting between the mayors, the city administrators, and Senator Paul in May, like I alluded to before the meeting ever happened, regardless of where you sit at, politically, to have the opportunity to sit down with an acting U.S. senator is it's a good thing for our region for sure. So appreciate South Bank for kind of helping facilitate and get him to have a conversation with us. Any questions for me? Okay. Next, we'll move into the council committee reports. We'll start with finance.
We had no finance meeting.
I'm sorry.
We did
Oh,
not.
okay. Thank you. Next, we'll move into the Parks and Rec Committee.
We're working on the festival. We got through the parade and now our eyes are focused on the festival. We're still accepting vendors for the festival. And one thing we really need is the city offers bounce houses free to the children during the festival. But we need supervisors. So if anybody is willing to spend an hour and just supervise a bounce house, it would be greatly appreciated. There is a sign-up sheet online. And if you need that link, let us know.
Hot Dogs in the Park went very well, had a few hiccups. I think we're working to get those resolved. Really want to thank Chief Stewart, Shane, Jamie for helping me with that. We'll see how it goes, but we're going to have hot dogs again next week, one way or another. People have been very nice about donating different things for it. So I appreciate Julie donating the hot dogs that were left over from the memorial. That was a big help. So we're going to do it again next Friday. Bring your kiddies down.
I've got a question on parks. I saw the city mowing grass at Carlisle Field. Did they make a deal with Carlisle to use that as a soccer field, baseball field?
Not yet. We're still talking about it.
We're going to try to keep it mowed for cases we, fire companies, we will not run into it. That's a close for everybody. Minimum line. So it actually got a little, since we had nightfall and all the rain, we got a little tricky. This last time, last in the list, but we got Mike spent most of that day. I think it's not now.
I think we're hoping to have an answer within the next couple of weeks on whether that's going to be feasible or not. Okay, thank you. Next, we'll move into Public Works Code Enforcement Report.
We met a week ago, and I think both Shane and Jamie have covered everything that we discussed.
Thank you. Okay, next we'll move into the City Administrative Officer's Report.
I don't have a report there. I've been running meetings nonstop. Most of what has been going on lately is budgets. I do want to touch on the one thing is the National Fitness Campaign, where we applied for the grant for that fitness court and stuff. We did get granted $50,000 from the UC grant to go towards that fitness campaign, which we were talking about doing at Cable Park. There's still several things that need to be checked off before we start doing stuff. Pretty much we have till about mid-July for me to come up with the rest of the funds and fundraising and those kind of things. And that way we make sure the baseball field and all those situations are worked out before that point. So pretty much it's going to be ongoing until probably the first or second week of July, and then I should have some definite answers because that's kind of the point at where we're going to start taking money or we're not going to take money about mid-July. That's kind of the biggest thing that I've been doing lately is just dealing with the National Fitness Campaign and stuff. Any questions?
Has the start of the Riverwalk behind the football stadium been delayed?
So I have a meeting next week with Will and construction, the engineers and stuff, so we should have the answers, the exact start dates and all that stuff next week. I also meet with South Bank, I believe Monday, this coming Monday, to talk about some of the lighting, because they're being really good with us, like the donations down at the park and stuff. So whatever we're gonna do with the lights all through the business district and stuff, we're gonna have that figured out hopefully Monday, so.
Okay. One thing that I forgot to add during my mayor's report, we do have an opening for the Kenton County Board of Adjustments. We've had one applicant so far. I'm going to continue to take applicants through next week. Even if it is just one applicant, I am going to bring that person in and give them an interview, talk about kind of what the Board of Adjustments actually is. The one applicant that we've had so far is Gil Guthrie. If anyone knows Gil, very intelligent man, but certainly, you know, anyone is more than welcome to apply. We'll say through Wednesday of next week, I'll continue to take applications. At that point, I would like to get an interview scheduled and get someone in that spot back on the Board of Adjustments. Any questions on that? Okay. So with that, we will move into citizens wishing to address mayor and council. Reminders that it is 3 minutes per citizen. You do need to approach the podium and state your name and address for the record.
There was a meeting last time we had a meeting.
There was a meeting about budget stuff. We didn't do our normal, like, sign off on checks and all that.
They're receiving all those electronically as well.
We are receiving electronically. We haven't signed off.
So they're able to see them electronically. We had a meeting electronically.
You have to be in the meeting, can't they do like they used to do in the treasurer in there?
They've never, it's always been done with the city administrator. And Steve was there. Steve was there on the last meeting. Sure, Lori. They can have a meeting and it can just be the treasurer and those two if that's what you would like. Yeah, I think that'd be great. Not a problem.
Thank you. Hi. Alex, could you state your last name? I'm sorry, because it has to go in the record.
Yes, hello. So I'm just a little concerned with the public parking. First, if there are any complaints, who is that supposed to be directed to? Because I get very conflicting information.
Parking in what, like someone parked illegally or?
Well, first, what is the allotted amount of time vehicle can be parked on the street without?
48 hours, correct, Chief?
So I've had several people across the street from me who have driveways, are parking their vehicle on the street. I'm aware of public parking. They're keeping it there for weeks.
Yeah.
I have called 3 times. Only once has anyone actually responded to that. The question then is, can there be a letter sent to all residents just reminding them of, hey, we are a growing community. If you have a driveway, can you please utilize it to its, best capacity? Because now one person is affecting 8 people, and they're not parking courteously. They're parking 4 feet away from the edge, which ultimately then takes 2 spots away from residents who do not have that option. Is there anything else that can be done for this?
Chief, what are your thoughts?
I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable with that anymore.
Yeah. Chief, what are your thoughts?
So the problem is, usually what happens is it takes a while for you to call. I don't want to say it takes a while, but so you see it for a couple days and then you call, then we have to see it for 48 hours before we can do anything about it. And
So I have to wait 48 then?
No.
No, I'm just saying, so like when you call, we can't just come write a ticket off your word for it.
Right.
So that's part of the problem, because then you're looking at almost a week before anything's really done about it.
Sure.
The other issue is, because it's a public street, there's really nothing, like, we don't have assigned parking or anything like that. I know other cities do, I think Newport and Covington down along the Licking River, they have some sort of residential parking only, but I don't know the ins and outs of that.
Is that something that might be able to be looked into? I've seen several things since the village on Facebook groups that there are lots of residents who are willing to pay for that. And I know you had mentioned that that just brings more staffing, more things, but with the amount of money possibly that those passes would bring, would that not kind of benefit the city?
I know in the past, just to talk on this years ago, this was addressed, and the problem is you have, some of these houses have no driveways, and there's 3-4 cars per residence. Well, if you go over this whole city, if I remember correctly, it's like 1.3 spots per, it's not even 1.5 per house. So if they don't have a driveway, they have 3 cars, they literally will take up all this space, and it mathematically it doesn't work out. So even if you were to buy it, and then you have your mom over and your grandkids or whoever, somebody's getting ticketed nonstop. And I know that's kind of the issue, is not everybody wants to buy the tickets because maybe they're a mother, father, brother, whatever, and they're staying there, and everybody's getting ticketed. So then what happens is all that effort spent ticketing people then comes back to us, where you have to reverse the tickets because, hey, this was my elderly grandmother, they can't move her car, this was whoever. So it's really hard to differentiate between it. Plus, if you have 4 or 5 cars per house, there's nowhere to put them. And I remember about a year ago or so, I think it was on Church or somewhere, we were ticketing several houses, and there were people that worked from their home. And the person says, I don't leave, I work from my house. And their car didn't leave for 48, 72 hours, but we ticketed them. And they go, well, but I'm working from my house. And then we're also ticketing elderly people. And that one came to bite us in our butt, because most older people only go to the grocery store maybe once a week, or they don't leave their house. So then same thing, you have elderly people on fixed income, you're charging them for a parking pass, and then they also don't move, so then you get ticketed for the 48. So it sounds easier to fix than it is. It's very complicated. But I think we're open to suggestions and ideas.
And I completely understand that.
Yeah.
And again, at some point, it is public parking. That is completely understandable. I applied for a parking pad, I was denied twice. But my frustration is more so the people across the street who have driveways. Right now, my neighbor across the street, her driveway is wide open.
That drives me
and her
crazy.
vehicle's on the street.
Yeah, it drives me insane. I hate
The
it.
young woman decided to park there for over a week, for the last 4 weeks nonstop. It's just going a little bit further up.
Yeah,
There's one strip of 6 or 7 houses that do not have that option, while he has a wide open driveway.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people do, is when they see a cop go by or whatever, they'll move their car like a foot, 2 foot. In any movement at all, then it's back to square one, because the cops, they either mark it with a penny or a chalk or take a picture or whatever. And if it's moved at all, then you have to start it all over again. So, and usually they don't start it over, they wait till another complaint comes in. So another week or 2 goes by, then you get a complaint. Somebody will say, hey, cops are looking at your car, they'll move it 2 foot, and it starts over again. It's a game for some people, but
But then if we are supposed to call dispatch, which I did.
yeah.
I don't want to be that person. I
No,
really
do.
not.
You should.
But did not move for 8 days. I called, nothing was done. No one came. I called for a second time 4 days later. Finally, someone addressed it. He moved, then he came back. Another week went by, solid week. He called, nothing.
That is the man you want to talk about. Make sure that if you call, something should be addressed, whether it be a marking, a picture, and they should at least have an answer to say, hey, I did mark it, or whatever. But just go directly with Chief Beck.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if that's the process. Kind of what's the point for me?
We want you calling.
Right.
We want you calling, and a lot of people don't like to do this around here, especially in small towns. They'll just call directly here or a friend or whatever. We want you calling dispatch, because then we have it documented, and he or I or whoever can look back at the computer and go, you were called there 3 times, right? Why isn't it moved? Then we have a documentation versus somebody calling the mayor and the mayor texting me, and then it's lost in translation. So it's best, and I know it sounds crazy, we'd rather you call dispatch, get it on record, that way we can check and see who should have been there, and those kind of things. No, sorry.
Ma'am, sorry.
if I were to bet, it's back when the ordinance was changed a couple of years ago where it takes up a certain percentage of your front yard, or it's so close to the other property. I don't know you're a resident. I'm just assuming, I'm guessing it's probably one of those, because most of our denials come because the council passed an ordinance a couple of years ago. It said it couldn't take up a certain portion of the front yard or be so many feet off the.
One that we run into, I think this was the case at your house. It's like there has to be like so many inches of buffer, like between the next house. I think that's what this is. Yeah. Jamie, could you have a follow-up with her?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Hello.
My name is Greg Veronica. I live on Hay Street. My sister and I own two family on Hay Street. And it's a one-way street with a pothole in the beginning and one at the end. We've been there for over 20 years. Wonder if there's any way we can get that deal again.
Something with a water main,
I think it
water
is.
lit on it. Yeah, I'll contact the water department on that, and they haven't done it. I'll at least talk to the water, so I'll make it happen.
We also have a lot of people going the opposite way on Hay Street. No offense to nobody, but we are on the only two driveways. And you back out of your driveway, you have to look both ways. People are constantly going
Yeah.
the opposite way, even though it's a one-way street.
Call the police when you see that. If you can call the police and get a license plate, that would be great. If you can give us a description or something whenever you see somebody going the wrong way. I know it's a short street, but if we can find out who's doing it on a regular basis, it'd be good. Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we'll move into unfinished business. We'll start with the second reading of ordinance 2025-5.
2025-5 is an ordinance amending the budget. This is the budget reconciliation. Projected revenues were slightly up from 4.849 million to 4.867 million. Total expenses were up by about $350,000. There's still a surplus. It's about $162,000, which is short of the projected surplus, but is still a surplus.
Discussion. Or a motion.
I will make a motion that we, yes, Ludlow ordinance 2025-5.
Thank you, Julie.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Lori, could I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Chapman?
Yes.
Ms. Gracious?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler? Mr. Ziegler?
No.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Terry DeBar?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
No.
Okay, the motion carries. Okay, next we'll move into a second reading of ordinance 2025-7.
2025-7 is an ordinance amending the noise regulations in Ludlow. The primary difference in the amendment is the allowance of amplified sounds, including by speaker or other means. The permitted volume for amplified sounds is 65 decibels as measured within 35 feet of the machine or device creating the sound.
Discussion. Yeah, so it's outlined within the Z21, the zoning. It is until 9:30 on weekdays and until 11 on Friday and Saturday.
All of it, all of the entire ordinance, the entirety of it, or just the music part of it?
The amplified sound portion of it.
Thank you.
Yep.
I just had a question again about the instrument to measure that. Have we looked into that again? Upon passing, we will purchase something.
Yeah,
Great.
that's special.
Okay.
Further discussion or a motion? Lori, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Chapman?
Yes.
Ms. Gracious?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Terry Navar?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Abstain.
Okay, motion carries. Next, we'll move into new business and our first reading of ordinance 2025-6.
2025-6 is setting a prospective budget for 2025 through 2026, calling for revenue of $5.67 million and expenditures of $5,097,000. No other big ticket items.
Discussion.
Is this the first reading of this ordinance?
This is the first reading. Right after we get done with any discussion, I'm going to call a second meeting, June 26th at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay, if there's no discussion, I'm sorry.
Sorry, just thought of another.
Yeah,
The line item budget that's associated with this, so that doesn't get fit into the ordinance, right? I guess this is a lawyer question.
Yeah, the way that I've seen these done is that there is a separate line item budget that is produced for the purposes of council, but the ordinance just adopts the top line item of each category.
Thank you.
Could be done differently, but that's the way that I've seen it done here.
Thank you.
okay, so with that in mind, I am going to call a special meeting for two different purposes for June 26th, which is Thursday at 7 o'clock. This is the time of our normally scheduled caucus meeting. The first purpose will be to have a second reading of ordinance 2025-6. The second purpose will be to have further discussion, potentially pass a resolution on whether we want to accept the grant funding from UC Health that we were awarded for the fitness court. With that in mind, we'll go into council announcements and start with Abby.
Got nothing.
Julie?
No, I got nothing.
Sarah?
I have nothing.
Dave? Paula?
The festival is June 28th, and movie night is that night, that Friday. Movie night's gonna start, what time are we starting, Jamie?
I need to look.
Okay. I think the movie's gonna start,
It's posted somewhere.
I think, yeah, there's a post online, but I'm pretty sure the movie's gonna start at 9, and we are showing Moana? Is that right?
Yep.
Moana? We're showing
Yes,
Moana?
yes.
Okay. And so that's Friday, the 27th, and Saturday, the 28th. We hope everybody will come down for the fireworks festival. And we'll be there from 4 until 10 when the fireworks go off.
I appreciate that we're watching Moana because last year Jamie picked a cartoon about code enforcement
Yeah, that was
for the
strange.
city to watch.
I didn't pick that. Yeah, it was a good movie.
It's a great movie. All right, Steve?
No announcement, but I would like to thank the Garden Club. I think there's 3 members, but they go around town putting flowers in the various locations in the city. And I think this time they also involve some children to help out, so I think that's a good thing that they do. And it doesn't cost the city anything as far as I know.
No, that's wonderful. With that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Sarah. All in favor signify aye. Aye. Opposed signify nay. Okay, we are adjourned.